Guys and dolls, Freedom Dad here. No mic in, but I know you can hear me alright. So I will be going live tonight. You know, but I'm around a few bonfires, and I'm doing videos and stuff. And one of the bonfires went up another few levels last night or yesterday, and I was down with the boys when they were building it and stuff. And I just wanted to pop down in the early hours, 4 o'clock this morning, make sure everything was all good. And don't really want to be doing too many videos about the bonfires just yet because of just the hate. You know what I mean? Very small hate. You know what I mean? But I don't want any of my bonfires being targeted because of my videos. So you know what I mean? I've already had one of them threatened, so I was keeping an eye on that last night. Started raining about 5:30, so came back in. Everything was quiet, all good. But we'll do a live tonight, guys. Say about 6:30, 7, 110%. Just exhausted yesterday. Had a barbecue. Haven't been drinking or nothing like that. Just non-stop. Not able to shut down at night sometimes because of stuff on my mind. I've had a couple of threats as well, so that's been difficult to sort of deal with in my head. It's not from my guys, obviously, but most of them. Cheers. Most of them are like just trolls and people with just nasty people, but there's been a couple of them that have been quite concerning. One about whenever the Donegal thing, the Letterkenny thing was on, there was apparently two guys sitting in a van. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's like it is a reliable source, this one, and you've just got to be very careful. You know what I mean? I keep getting told to shut up about the IRA. I'm not going to shut up about the IRA. I'm sorry, guys. But at the end of the day, it's not about the IRA. You know what I mean? IRA, there is no IRA anymore. It's a different kettle of fish now. You know what I mean? Younger ones, more hateful. My gripe isn't about the IRA. My gripe's about the dissidents. My gripe's about our children from loyalist families going into Republican hardline areas and living there because that's where the drugs are. That's what my problem is. My problem is that I get this feeling that the hatred being spewed in some of these areas, it's stopping people coming to our protests, and not only that, but it's putting people for sort of not forcing people, but sort of putting people in the mindset of supporting the counter protest, and i.e. Palestine, and that's a problem, of course. I'm not going to be quiet about that. You know what I mean? It's like, they're wanting Palestinians to come here. We don't, you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. It's like my evidence and my experience, it's not going to work out well for anybody, the dissidents or us, so that's where I am, you know what I mean? I'm not here to slag off the IRA or anybody that's, done anything for their country or give up anything for their country. My views on hunger strikers and all that carry on. I got nothing but respect for men that do something like that. The blanket protests, nothing but respect for them. But I think some things are being lost in translation, and what can I do about that? So yeah, yesterday was a wee bit of a day of contemplation. I was down at the bonfire watching all the boys build it, and I had a chat with the boys as well, and just to give me a wee bit of strength and how I'm going and where I'm going, you know what I mean? Being able to talk, to get the boys all around and get a chat, let them speak to them and see their reactions and how they feel about what I'm saying, because these are the boys, these are the loyalists on Grassroots, these are the loyalists in our streets, and what I mean, I need to know what they feel about me, what they think about my way of talking and what I'm talking about, and being friends with Irish people and Catholics, and trying to explain that to them of where I was in Dublin and how I was took in and what I've seen, so it's I'm no shying away. I'm not two-faced. I'm not like being here with you, being one way and being with my own community another way. I would look so stupid, But some of the young boys and the younger men are, you're not too sure, are you? You know what I mean? So it's refreshing to know that my community understand the direction that we need to go in. They understand when I say I'm just back from England and Scotland and it's a nightmare. And Dublin is a nightmare, and it's scary, and it's coming our way. And if we don't be careful, we're going to lose everything. It's bonfires, our 12s, everything, internment parades, your bloody Sunday parades, everything that you celebrate on both sides will be gone, you know, along with our churches and everything we know, you know. Um, but, I don't know. I just think some of these guys don't have kids. I really do. They either don't get to have kids, or like I say, they're working for the establishment, you know. It's one or the other, because they're just really stupid. But I can't imagine them being stupid if they're in positions of power in their communities and they're acting young men to go into our areas and attack our murals. You know, they've got some sort of intelligence to be able to organise shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's a tricky one to understand why they're so hell bent in going down this road of destruction of their own lands, with the evidence that we see in England, Scotland, and Ireland. So, I just needed to recharge. I think recharge the mental state. Um, Nothing's really changed. My security wouldn't go up or anything like that. It's not like that. It's Northern Ireland. You know what I mean? It's just normal procedure here. You know what I mean? But obviously it's concerning, because I have to be careful now going into Ireland. You know what I mean? Which is sad. And I know so many of you would be like, you're so welcome, and yes, and we'll look after you and all the rest of it. But it just takes one guy to come up, you know what I mean, and disappear in the crowd. So um, I'm not going to leave myself vulnerable, guys. You know what I mean? And I have to take these threats seriously. I can only rely on the community, the Catholic community, to support me. That's all I can ask for, guys. And whether you do it by a fake name or whatever, that's all I can ask from you. You know what I mean? I understand how hard it is for you Catholics in these areas that are run by these men that are hell bent and supporting Palestine, and being involved with Islam, because they've helped them in the past with weapons and training in the 80s in Palestine and with the Palestinian Liberation Organization. It's just the same as Hamas, really. Like, you know what I mean? There's two sides of the same coin at the end of the day. Like, both Islamists, both extremists, and both done horrific things while they were in power of terrorism in their countries. And it's a different level of terrorism than what these guys know in Belfast and Londonderry. This is a different ball game. What they done in Israel on that day to some of them women and children was horrific. Horrific. Can't even tell you how horrific it was. And yes, of course, what Israel is doing is Gaza is horrific as well. And under no circumstances should there be any children casualties of war. In this day and age, in this modern age of warfare that we have, there's no reason for so many kids to be unalived. And this is why I don't touch on the subject on my channel, because I do have sympathies for both sides. I have sympathies for both sides. The children, because the children are always innocent. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to go into it anymore. I'm not going to deep dive it. It's my opinion. It's Freedom Dad's opinion, And it comes from good sources. It comes from a good head. It comes from a logical head. An overthinker that controls his mind and can, can tunnel it into a logical way of looking at things and thinking of things. It simplifies it for me. I know it sounds nuts being an overthinker, but being in solitary confinement and in prison and stuff like that, you're able to control it. You know what I mean? Because you're in solitary confinement. I don't think it would work for somebody that wasn't an overthinker, but it's just one of them things. There's always a good that comes from something bad, I believe. Especially when you've got autistic kids and kids with ADHD and all that. They'll have a skill that will be remarkable. It's just finding it. It's just finding that skill that they've got and utilising it for their benefit, so they don't suffer in life with the illness that they've got. And yeah, don't know where this is going, guys. So I'm going to leave it there. So then 6:30, no too late. 6:30, get you home from work, get your dinner on, and we'll get a chat. Freedom Dad, God bless.